Immortals, there's going to be Chargelets, there's going to be Archons. Let's just put that one this way. Like, there's you want a composition that you don't want to micro too hard. How about
The best
we
composition.
yeah, we just make the best composition for every scenario. The one that just attack moves and kills stuff. No, I mean every race has like a less micro intensive option, right? Wait, what race is Hypersova? Zerg, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, you know, it's going to be hard. Hypersova, you know, got a good grasp of the fundamentals for sure, and especially like, you know, one thing, you know, there's always things which are going to make this sort of scenario harder. Like if he plays Roach Hydra, that's fine. If he plays Banelings, and I'm moving Zealots into Banelings, suddenly it's like, well, in this situation, I would normally want to, you know, be doing some multi-prong or something like that. So I'm not going to really be doing an APM cap or anything. I am going to be trying to talk about the basics of what I'm doing though. So normally, guys, against Zerg, you do really want to wall off on the low ground. Just get that started. If you don't, make sure your second pylon's on the low ground and you start walling off there. If you don't wall off early, that's a huge problem. And I'm totally happy for you guys to like ask questions from chat while I'm playing as well, or just, you know, poke in your own questions about what I'm doing or about, you know, the scenario and that sort of stuff. So guys, we are doing a demonstration match here where I'm not allowed to micro my units. I basically have to try and win focusing just on macro. Now to do this, I'm gonna actually tailor my build to this. I'm not gonna do a normal build order. I'm actually gonna show you guys how I can strategically change everything up to adjust to the problem at hand, okay? So, first steps first, let's get this wall in down and check it out. We've got 16 probes and minerals, 3 on gas. Now, why aren't we taking a second gas? It's because I'm saying, you know what? I guess we're going to talk about the power of minerals. If we're talking about an A-move army, well, we're not going to be going up to Storm. I mean, yeah, you could probably go carriers. There's not a lot of micro involved. That's you know, going to be a 45-minute demonstration match. We don't want that. So instead, I'm going to look for a very fast third to power up my economy and just to get more raw material. If micro isn't your friend and you're not going to be using fancy spellcasters or anything like that, then you sure as hell don't want to be trying to invest into a ton of gas. You want to be focusing on minerals. All basic fighting units are mineral focused. Now, I am going to scout with the Adept just to walk you guys through what you should normally be looking for as a Protoss player. Now, he's going to see what I'm doing here as well. Let's keep chrono boosting units so that any Zerglings aren't going to be too powerful. And what we're doing here is the normal scout. Now, normally what your Adept does is it scouts and you count the drones and you say, is he droning up? Yeah, look, there's a good 8 or 10 drones there. That's a lot of drones. Awesome. Awesome. That tells us that we don't need to worry. Now, we are going to build a wall, but obviously this is something where as time goes on, I mean, we still got to try and protect that third, right? So that's going to be kind of more important. So we've got a wall here, and we're just going to kind of hold position our units in there. And of course, we've got a Twilight Council as well. So let's build another pylon up here. So let's just put that out in the open so I can build heaps of gateways around it. Maximum space for gateways later. And, I mean, I could go for a forge, because that's going to help my A-move units, isn't it? We're still on 1 gas so far. Let's get charge started. And you're going to notice, still just 1 gas. If I wanted to get a second gas, it's probably a good idea. Because let's get some immortals and stuff as well. But notice I've got 2 mineral lines. Already saturated. Let's start building probes for that as well. Try and get a pylon up out there. And let's build a robo here.
We get people asking for A-move compositions for other races.
Alright, so, I mean, for Terran, definitely Cyclones. Obviously, they're not the longest term unit. For Zerg, literally anything, but especially Roach Hydra. Especially Roach Hydra is like the big one, right? So, we often see that, you know, Roach Hydra, something we recommend to new players. Now, what are we going to do, guys? We're going to put this to Adept. We're going to say, move, shift, hold position. And I took it out of my army group. So that way, rather than, a lot of people will be like, move, hold position. I just do it in one go. Move, shift, hold position, and it's done. Very important to do that. Once upon a time.
Once upon a time, we had 8 armor ultras. The next patch, ultras are gonna be the shittiest unit in the game. It's a great balance patch, okay? Like, it's gonna make the game balanced, that I agree with, but it's gonna delete ultras in the process.
It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. I'd love someone to actually write up the numbers for that. Maybe you can figure it out now, Captain Fail. Write out all the numbers if you've got them on hand, or you can do that now.
Sure.
Because I'm really curious actually on the exact numbers on that. So obviously one of the big things is you don't want to let the game go too long if you're going for a simpler unit composition. A lot of people build an army after building an economy, and then they don't use that army, and then they try to go up higher in the tech, and they try to go up higher in the tech. We're not going to do that, guys. Why? Because this army is going to have an expiry date. This army doesn't last forever. Not at all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send a single zealot to each tower, by the way. Just to get a little bit of map control. And I am going up to like 11, 12, 13 gates. So this is what we call accommodating for the fact that my micro is kind of shit. Let's get +2 attack. And we're building a warp prism. So I'm saying, look, even if I miss a warp in round, I'm going to have so much production. This is great. Now, whenever you add those gateways, you know your production's about to explode. So you better preemptively build those piles. And notice I'm not using my gateways 24/7, right? I don't care about using my gateways 24/7. It's not that important. It's more important to just make sure my attack actually times out. So I'm not going to micro this attack. I am going to use a warp prism to reinforce this attack. We see he's got roaches with 1/1. Good. Roaches aren't banelings, so we're pretty happy with that. We let our army group up, and then we A move it. Now, let's take the gases here, just so we do have a nice transition if it gets that far. Let's keep warping in zealots. And we've just A moved these units for now. We're not allowed to micro them. That's adorable. Sick burrow roach blade from Hypersova. Wants to get the bling.
The numbers are in. It will take Marauder, the new Marauder, full upgrades, 27 shots to kill an Ultra. In the current patch, it takes 42 shots.
So yeah, it's a massive change. That is a massive change. More than 50%, right?
Yeah, and the thing about Marauders is that they're already out on the field.
Yeah.
Like, if you build Ultras into Mile, you're getting countered immediately.
I think the Ultras are still going to be amazing if they're a little bit marine heavy, which does happen. I definitely agree that, you know, they are maybe going to be nerfed a bit too much. And, you know, who knows, maybe we give that extra armor back to the Ultra, right? You know, maybe there needs to be
I think that we should get Anabolic Synthesis.
I don't know what that is.
It's a Brood War upgrade that gives Ultra Speed.
Oh, that's an ultra speed upgrade. All right, I didn't know the name of that. GG, well played. So this is really cool because we saw us build up to a really strong army. But let's go back and point out kind of what went wrong here. And this is a very fundamental mistake a lot of players make against Zerg, which is not pressuring your opponent at all. So this is cool because this is a new format for me as well, guys. So I'm kind of learning as I go. And by no means am I meant to win all these games. I'm simply meant to demonstrate concepts. It's boring if I'm just fucking dicking on my viewers or my mods in these games, right? It's fun if they can shut me down with some cool burrow roach ambush. So you should always have some sort of pressure built in, and even with this fast third, I could have done that. Now, if you look at what my opponent's doing, Hypersova's being a greedy boy. He's gone for double evo way too early. That actually is not efficient because he's gone 3 gas, double evo, and a third base. He's not going to be able to use all of those unless I don't attack him for the longest time. So what I should have done is gone for my Twilight a little bit earlier, basically straight after the gateway and the core. I should have gone straight for Twilight, made charge. I could have still made these gateways around the same time, and I could have done a 6 to 8 charge lot pressure, which would have hit about the 5-minute mark. Now, if we look at what he's got at 5 minutes, it's not a lot. 49 drones, Roach is just starting. He would take a ton of damage to 8 zealots right now, right? Now, this is important. You should always pressure against Zerg. This is the fundamental rule. you should always have a pre-planned pressure. A lot of people say, pressure? Well, I don't have the APM to pressure. I can't be darting in and out all the time. That's not what pressure is. Pressure is literally just a pre-planned timing attack. It's just a wave that you go and you try to do damage with. If you rock up and there's 12 roaches here, you just run away with those zealots. You say, oh, he's built enough units. Why is it important to do that? Because you need to understand how Zerg operates, guys. Zerg uses the same resource to build units to fight and workers. So if they've built a ton of fighting units, they don't have that many workers. Oh, cool, their economy is not that high. We can back off and be defensive. If they don't have enough defensive units, it means they've built a lot of drones and you need to commit to the fight and engage them. So having some built-in pressure, it either forces them to have built enough defense or to get punished for building too many workers and therefore not enough defense. And this is why you always have at least one relatively early wave of pressure built against Zerg. This is why we see players constantly doing the 2-1-1 from Terran, which is where you get 2 stim medevacs filled with stim marines, and sometimes you just kill the Zerg player because he's built too many workers. The problem most players have, though, is even when they learn to start doing these pressures, they're a little bit too one-dimensional about it, and they just always commit. And that's fine. When you start out with a build, always commit to the pressure. Just commit to it. Focus on the execution. Don't focus on, oh, should I go in? Should I not? That comes with experience. But as you get more experienced with your builds, what you naturally start doing is every time you're committing, you're watching, and you go, that's too many units. Nuh-uh. I know this is too many. I'm just going to back off and keep these units alive because I know you don't have a great economy. But in the situation where they've droned really hard, you're like, nah, we're committing to the fight. You go in and you get the damage. And this scouts the Zerg. It builds towards a strong attack timing for you, which also in turn usually helps you defend an all-in from Zerg. So if you're like, I need to get a bunch of zealots up at this time, or I need to get a bunch of adepts, or I need to get a few oracles to do some pressure. It forces you to focus on getting an army. And often that army moves out, and if they're going for an all-in, you kind of see their army coming, and you're like, whoa, back up. Okay, you know. So it allows you to keep in control of what a Zerg's doing. A lot of players say they struggle to scout Zerg. How do I know when to attack, when to defend? It's all in the game plan. You have a built-in pressure, which establishes scouting and potentially does huge damage at the same time. It keeps the Zerg honest, because if you don't do that, like that game where I was like, I'm just going to take my third, make some upgrades, make some probes, make some zealots. Even though I had this really fast third, he did even greedier. And Zerg can always do that because they can completely skip building fighting units, just build economy and upgrades, and they get way ahead. So having built-in pressure against Zerg is one of the most important things that you guys have to do. And this is the same as a Zerg player in Zerg vs. Zerg. We see Zerg players who play ZvZ as if it's a different matchup. Like, I'm just going to build a medium number of units and sit at home defensive. And their opponent just builds 50 drones with no defense and then just makes a bigger army and wins. And they're like, well, this is bullshit. I don't understand this matchup. Or the opposite happens. They build a medium number of units. They're just sitting there and suddenly 1 billion units come out of their opponent who built no drones and just went all in. And they go, shit, this is bullshit. Like, Zerg can just attack too suddenly. And that's the trick. Zerg can very quickly shift all their production into economy or all their production into army. And we pressure them, and that forces us to scout which way they're going and to punish them if they go too hard one way or the other.